Hey guys, coming on to make a video to review the IAC doll show. And this isn't really a video that I was wanting to make, just because I don't tend to put stuff like this on my channel. I try to keep my channel as drama-free as possible. But I feel like since I helped promote the show and that some of you guys out there attended the show because you saw information about it on my channel, I feel like it's my duty to discuss these issues with the show. So, you know, Bean Shanine from the Twisted Beanstalk, she was the first one to make a video. And I think up until that point, a lot of people were afraid to make a video because the owners of the show like to use scare tactics. They like to bully people into silence. Any negative comments that have ever been written on their Facebook page about the show, or questions or concerns that people had, were automatically deleted, and they continue to do that. So I think a lot of people were scared to say anything. Bean sort of set the way for us, and other people have made videos, such as Tammy, who had Traveling Matilda at the show, Liz Gallagher. There's been a few videos out there. So I just want to first start off to say I'm going to link all of the other videos that people have made in the description of this video, because I encourage you to go and watch them. Some of them are long, and I'm going to tell you right now, this video will be long. I'm going to try to condense it as much as I can, but I might even have to do this in a two-part. So I definitely encourage you to go and watch those other videos to hear their perspective on things. And they did touch upon some things, and I will elaborate on some of those things, as well as touch upon some things that they did not discuss. So let's just jump right in. I was going to do this in two parts, in that I was going to talk about the major issues first and then do a part two with like the minor issues. But for me, like, because I made this list, like I literally had to write out a list. That's how much went wrong with this show. I pretty much, if you guys have ever seen the documentary on Netflix on the Fire Festival, this is like the Fire Festival of Reborn Dolls. No joke. And I actually watched the documentary about a month before the show. And I remember watching it with Alex and going, like, as we were watching it, I think we were like around the middle part of it, I was going, man, this sounds a lot like the IAC show. But then as it got to the end and like people got ripped off with money and stuff like that, I was like, well, I don't see it going to that extent. I was totally wrong. It is literally the Fire Festival of Reborn Dolls. Okay, so I'm going to take you guys back a bit to how I was introduced to the show. Because even back then, things were said about the show that didn't even happen. So I first met the owners of the doll show, of the IAC doll show. I met them at the April 2018 London doll show, the spring London doll show. And I also just want to point out that the London Doll and Teddy Bear show that happens twice a year is not the same show as the IAC show. I really want to make that clear, because I know some people were getting them confused, and I really don't want this tarnishing the London Doll and Teddy Bear show that takes place every spring and fall in London, Ontario, Canada. They are not the same show. The London Doll and Teddy Bear show has been around for years. They're successful. They just recently moved up to a bigger venue because it's growing. Each time I go, there's more and more reborn artists coming in, which is great. The owner of the show, of the London Doll and Teddy Bear Show, is fantastic. She is organized. She knows what she's doing. And I am going to have a table at the London Doll and Teddy Bear Show this fall in October. And I just want to say that she got our deposit, and literally like within days, because Marilyn's also having a table, she got our deposit, and literally within days we were already up on the website under the vendor list for the next show. That is something that wasn't happening on the IAC Doll Show website. Like, their website was so out of date. Like, they didn't keep it updated at all. It was crazy. Okay, so I met them, like I said, at the Spring Doll Show, April 2018. I even have a video of that show, and I'll link to that as well in the description below, because that is proof of when I first met them, because they're trying to claim they've known me for 2 years, but they haven't. It's only been a little over a year. And so that was where I think I first mentioned about the show, and I kind of iterated in there what they had told me about the show, and they had also asked me if I would be willing to come and do a meet and greet at the show, which I agreed to. So they were claiming at that time that there was going to be artists like Bonnie Brown, Cassie Bryce, Laura Lee Eagles, other big name artists. I can't think of them off the top of my head, but those were the ones that really stuck out to me. Of course, they said Bean Shanine, which she did end up coming. But yeah, so they were naming all these big name artists that were coming to the show, and I was like, wow, this sounds great. I was super excited because Canada really needs a show like the Rose Doll Show or the IDTS, those bigger doll shows in the US. Like, right now the dollar is so bad that for us Canadians to travel to the US is super expensive. It's actually cheaper for Americans to come to Canada. So I was all excited. I'm like, yes, we're finally going to get this show that's like the Rose Show. I was all excited. I was like, yes, I will come and do a meet and greet. Sounds fun. I was all for it. So in June, the show emailed me, offered me, I have all of our emails saved. So if anyone has discrepancies on this, I have proof. I have all the emails saved. In June of 2018, they emailed me offering me 4 VIP passes to the show so that me and my friends could come and enjoy the show. And I would do my meet and greet and all of that. I was like, cool. Awesome. And, and they, of course, they just asked, like, in exchange if we could help promote the show. I was like, that's fine. No problem. I'm excited about the show. I was ready to go. Then it was like dead silence for months on end, and I wasn't hearing anything about the show. There wasn't really anything happening on the website with information on dates or anything. And I was like, okay, maybe this show isn't happening. I don't know what's going on. Then fast forward to October of 2018, we went to the fall London Doll and Teddy Bear Show. Sorry, my nose is itching. I really think I have seasonal allergies. I need to take some allergy medication. Anyways, so we went to the London Doll and Teddy Bear Show, and after the show, we went to dinner. We were invited to go to dinner with the owners of the IAC Doll Show. So we went, hung out with them, had a really great time. They seemed really nice. Very friendly. We had a nice dinner, and they filled us in on some stuff with the show, and we figured out, okay, like, the show is a go. It's happening in May, at the end of May. Great. So we were all up to date on that. We're like, awesome. All of a sudden, so towards the end of October, I got another email from the show, and they then changed their offer from the VIP passes to offering me a complimentary stay in the hotel where the show was happening for me and my friends. Now, we kind of needed clarification. We asked for clarification on how many nights they were willing to cover. They said they were willing to cover up to 3 nights. Now, we needed 4 nights because one of my friends was planning was planning to get a booth at the show. So we would have to be there from the night before the show opened until, you know, we figured we would be there late on the last day of the show, and we didn't want to head home late at night. So we wanted to stay over that night. So we're like, okay, we'll need 4 nights. Obviously, we'll pay for the 4th night. They agreed to that. They said they actually sent an email in November confirming that they had us booked for a 4-night stay with them covering 3 of the nights. We were like, perfect, great, wonderful. And at that time, there was no cocktail dinner on the Saturday night. There was no baby shower brunch on the Sunday morning. It was just the show. And all they asked in exchange was that we help promote the show like crazy. And I was like, sure, no problem. They had also mentioned at the time that they would like to run giveaways through my channel, which I had no problem with. And they said that they would be in contact with me on how that was going to proceed. I was like, that's fine. I made my first video about the show, and I pretty much made like, I don't know, I think it was like 2 videos within like a 2-week period. And then I was kind of making like monthly videos to promote the show. Now, their new offer did not include passes to the show. We would have to purchase the passes, which I was fine. I mean, the passes were $15 for a 3-day pass. It wasn't that much money considering our hotel was being pretty much covered except for the 1 night. I was like, that's fine. And there was going to be like 3 of us staying in the hotel, so we would split the 1 night 3 ways. It was going to be pretty inexpensive, although I did find it a little odd because I was doing a meet and greet on the showroom floor that I would have to buy a pass to get on the showroom floor, but whatever. It was fine because it was inexpensive, so I didn't really have a big deal with that. Now, so in January, they contacted me about how the giveaways were going to be run, that they were going to do 4 passes per month. I was cool with that. I was like, okay. They gave me all the information that they had on the show at that time. And that's when I noticed that the hours of the show were really long. They were like 10 a.m. to 8 p.m., which I've been to plenty of the bigger doll shows in the U.S., like the Rose, the Down East Doll Show, and they all usually close around 5 because, A, vendors, you know, they need to get dinner. And usually the evening is like socialized time. Like the vendors like to mix and mingle with the collectors. A lot of times they'll all go out to dinner together. Or, you know, like at the Rose Show, they'll have the baby shower run in the evening or the awards banquet run in the evening. And people have to, you know, both artists and collectors want to attend those. So they usually close the show around 5, and then the evening events start around like 6 or 7. So it gives people time to like freshen up and whatever. And a lot of times if people aren't attending those events, then they'll just kind of gather in the lobby. Like if you've seen my vlogs from the Rose Doll Show, the lobby was filled with people, and we would hang out in the lobby with our dolls, changing dolls, sharing dolls, laughing, joking around. We'd be out there till like midnight, 1 a.m., 2 a.m. every night, just having a ball in the lobby. And the lobby would be like almost totally full. of doll people. So I questioned them on the hours, and I believe my friend did as well, because we were trying to like make a suggestion. And we were kind of met with a little bit of hostility on it. So we were like, okay, whatever, you know, do what you want. We're just giving you a suggestion. You can take it, you can leave it. So then, but also in January, they still confirmed our hotel stay, because I mentioned it briefly in an email. And in the same email, that's where I questioned them about whether or not we had to buy our passes as well. So I had mentioned the 3 nights being booked, and they didn't say anything otherwise. So to me, that confirmed that we still had the 3 nights. Come February, all of a sudden, like, we were noticing that, like, they were kind of being distant with us, me and my friend. I'm trying not to name any names. So, excuse me. Excuse me. I noticed that, like, they weren't really promoting my meet and greet, but they were promoting, like, everyone else's. And there was maybe like 2 or 3 times that they tagged me in a post about meet and greets, but like the post itself, like the picture itself, didn't have anything about me in it. Other than that, like, they had asked me for a picture to promote my meet and greet, and they never used it. So I was starting to feel a little off around February. I started to get like this bad feeling that like something was wrong, or like I didn't know if I had done something wrong or wasn't holding up my end of the deal. But I was making the videos every month, and I was also periodically mentioning the show in other videos, but I was definitely making like 1 to 2 videos per month about the show and running the giveaways and all of that. So I couldn't figure out like what I was doing wrong. Like, I really got the sense that like they were upset at my friend and I. And the other friend that was supposed to be staying in the room with us, they basically separated her from us and got her in on helping with stuff with the show. And I kind of got the impression that they were saying things about us to this friend, because certain reactions that our friend had towards us, like, were weird. Like, they weren't right, considering, like, again, as far as we know, we didn't do anything wrong. So by February, my friend was ready to book her booth, because she had been saving up and trying to figure out what to do. She was trying to book a booth, and she was trying to get information about how the booths were going to be set up so she could figure out what size she needed to go with and whatever. They were giving her like beat around the bush answers, and eventually they just told her that all the booths were sold out, even though they weren't. Then I emailed them with a whole bunch of questions, because I was getting, as someone who was supposed to be promoting the show, I was getting frustrated that I couldn't properly promote the show, because literally from month to month, things kept changing with the show. I would make a video one month and give a whole set of information, and then by the next month, almost everything had changed. And they had added like the dinner and the baby shower and all this stuff. And just things kept changing, so it was really hard for me to promote. And on top of that, they weren't keeping the website up to date. So it's not like I could go to the website, get new information to share with you guys. So I sent them an email with a whole bunch of questions to try and get as much information as I could for my next video. On top of that, I then asked, just out of curiosity, like, how was it going to work for us checking in to our reservation, because they had made the reservation for us. And I was just trying to figure out like whose name it was going to be under, how we were going to go about checking in. Well, that's when they came back and told us that they had us booked for the Friday night only. And then I was confused, and I sent them a screenshot of the email where they confirmed that we had a 4-night stay booked with them paying 3 of the nights. They came back kind of snippy, and they said that, oh, well, you know, your meet and greets are on Friday and Saturday, so you only require the Friday night, and you don't require the other nights. And that's where, again, they mentioned that the booths were sold out. And I was like, okay. And I said, but you had told us that we were booked in for a 4-night stay. And they're like, no, we only have you booked for the Friday night. It's up to you to book the other nights and pay for them. So we were kind of stressing at that point because I had just lost my job. And at that point, I wasn't working at Alex's work. And I was like, how the heck are we going to afford all of this? And I was stressing out to the max. I started flaring because I was stressed. And I was just trying to figure out how we were going to work this out. And also I was worried that, like, there weren't any rooms left for us to book for the other nights. So we had to figure all of this out. They were really rude in that they said, well, you know, no booth has been booked. You haven't bought tickets. You know, you haven't bought tickets to the dinner or the brunch. And they almost, the way that I took it in the email was that, you know, maybe if we had bought like the dinner tickets or the baby shower brunch tickets that was happening on the Sunday morning, then, you know, that means we would require the Saturday night stay so that we could be there for the baby shower on the Sunday morning. So we almost felt like, you know what, in order to get our, I guess, we thought in order to get our Saturday night covered, we had to buy the brunch tickets. I mean, at that point, we were wanting to attend the brunch anyway, the baby shower brunch, but we were waiting to see what the menu was. They hadn't posted the menu yet, and Marilyn wanted to just make sure that there was nothing that would affect her food allergies, because we couldn't do the dinner. Because A, it was $95 the dinner, and we couldn't afford that. And B, even if we could afford it, there was a lot of seafood on the menu, and our understanding was it was going to be like hors d'oeuvres passed around on trays. And so cross-contamination could be very high. And my friend had an allergy to fish. So, we could not do the dinner, but we were like, you know, okay, if the brunch is a good menu and it doesn't have anything she's allergic to, then we can do that. Finally, within a couple of days, they published the menu. We were like, okay, it's good. We can do it. We booked it. So we bought our tickets to the show. Actually, I bought my pass to the show, and then I bought our 2 brunch tickets and had them shipped here so that we could split shipping. My friend was buying a ticket off of another lady who couldn't make it to the show. So she had her ticket covered already. So then I was kind of surprised to see when we checked out that the shipping was like $13 for 3 tickets, but I had heard a few months prior that the reason the shipping was high was because extra material was going to go out with the tickets. So I was like, okay, whatever. We're splitting the shipping. It's fine. So once we had bought our tickets, I emailed the show again and said, okay, like, we've purchased our tickets. You know, would you still cover our stay? I mentioned, you know, like, we definitely would need the Saturday night now that we had the baby shower tickets. But I also tried to, like, stand up for myself for once in my life, because usually I don't stand up for myself and let people walk over me. But I tried to stand up for myself, and it's like, you know, this is a business deal. This was a business deal, and they're trying to go back on their end of the deal while I still held up mine. So I also mentioned that, you know, my other friend actually had told us that she needed to be there on the Wednesday night, and that, you know, she was going to be riding up with us. So we still needed the full, you know, 4 nights that they had told us we had booked. They came back, well, they actually then handed me off to someone else. They didn't even want to deal with me anymore. So they handed me off to someone else who came back and like freaked out at me and was like, no, you're only getting the Friday night, which was agreed upon in November. And I'm thinking, no, what was agreed upon in November was 4 nights with us paying for 1 and you guys paying for 3. But at that point, I just didn't even bother. I was like, whatever. We, you know, we'll try to figure out how we're going to pay for the other 3 nights. Obviously, my friend didn't end up getting a booth because they had told her that the booths were sold out, even though they weren't, which we found out once we attended the show. Okay, so moving along. So running the giveaway. Okay, the first giveaway I did in January was fine. The winners were contacted immediately by the show to get their shipping address. And I thought that the same thing happened in February and March until April came around. And I was about ready to do my April giveaway. And then I started to get emails and messages from winners that had won in February and had won in March, telling me that they had not heard from the show at all to get their shipping information. On top of that, the tickets were supposed to be starting to ship out in March. It was April and they still hadn't shipped. Eventually, people started asking on their Facebook page, why weren't the tickets shipped out yet? When are we getting the tickets? They finally responded by saying that there was a printing issue and they had to reprint the tickets. And once they're reprinted, they will be starting to ship them out. Well, you know, people suggested, you know, maybe you should make like a public announcement of this, but they never did. They never posted it on their website. They never made like a public announcement on their Instagram or Facebook. So like, unless you went to the community tab of their Facebook page and looked at the questions that people were asking, you would have no idea what was going on. No one had any idea. So finally, they did ship the tickets in May. And in the meantime, I had to email them like 3 times before they eventually contacted the February and March winners, because I told them that I said, like, in good faith, I cannot run another giveaway for the month of April and May until I know that the winners are going to be contacted. So they finally did contact them, and I did the combined April-May draw so that everyone would get their tickets in time. I did find out that one person that won 2 tickets in February, because February was the month where I gave away pairs of tickets, they were denied their tickets and banned from the show, apparently. That's what I heard. So, and I don't really know why. I don't know the innings of that. I just know that they were denied their tickets and were banned from the show, apparently. So, and I mean, I don't believe I saw them at the show, so I'm pretty sure that's accurate. They were banning a lot of people leading up to the show. Anyone that kind of questioned things or had comments or concerns, they were like threatening to ban them. So we got our tickets in May. And at first, the first thing that came in the mail was a regular envelope. And it had 1 Canadian stamp on it. And a Canadian stamp, if you buy a roll of them, which I'm sure they had to buy a roll of them, Canadian stamp is 85 cents. We paid $13 in shipping. On top of that, in the envelope was only my 3-day show pass and a brochure of the schedule. I was like, okay, first off, where are my brunch tickets? Second of all, why did we pay $13 shipping and this was shipped with an 85-cent stamp? Slowly, people started getting their tickets and they had the same issues. So people were asking, where's our brunch tickets? People were asking, why was the shipping $13? Some people even paid more shipping, excuse me, because when you did checkout, you had an option of like the cheapest shipping, which the cheapest was $13, to like an expedited sort of, or like, I don't know, a faster shipping method that was like $16. So some people actually paid the $16 for faster shipping and they got the same shipping as everyone else. So people were questioning it, and instead of addressing it and answering the questions about the shipping, they just deleted. And then someone said, why was my post deleted? And they said the issue had already been addressed. And I was like, no, it hasn't. I didn't see any answer or explanation anywhere as to where the $13 went for shipping. They did answer someone again, in the community tab, they answered someone on the brunch tickets, but they didn't make like a public announcement about it. And they said that our names would be on a list at the door for the dinner and the brunch. Then all of a sudden, 2 weeks later, I get another envelope in the mail. Again, another envelope with an 85-cent stamp. This had the 2 brunch tickets in it. I was like, wait a minute, I thought they weren't shipping brunch tickets. I thought our names were going to be on a list. Okay, now they're shipping out brunch tickets. But again, they're in an envelope with an 85-cent stamp. It wasn't adding up. So I was like, okay. So a lot of people were upset about the whole shipping issue. So that was the first of many issues. There was another lady in the group or on the Facebook page that had an issue with her ticket, in that she did not receive her show pass in the mail. And it was a pass that she had ordered for a friend because she could not make it to the show herself for medical reasons, but she had got one as a gift for her friend. So she was wanting to get that ticket to her friend, and she hadn't received it yet in the mail. They accused her of lying. They accused her of scamming them out of money by saying that she never paid. Well, a couple of days later, what showed up in her mail was a brunch ticket, because she had also ordered a brunch ticket for her friend. That brunch ticket came with a receipt that was proof of payment. So she said, look I got my brunch ticket. It has proof that I paid for a brunch ticket and a show pass, but did not receive the show pass. You know, she wanted an apology because they had basically called her a scammer. They would not apologize. They banned her from the show. So I was like, wow. And this was all like just a couple of weeks before the show. So at that point, I was really starting to have like a sinking feeling. And I was like, I don't know what's going to happen. I was still trying to give them the benefit of the doubt, and I was still trying to be really hopeful that this show would be a success because I was excited about it and I wanted this show to happen. Okay, so I'm just going to wrap up part 1 in a second. I just want to wrap it up with that I really at one point was thinking of canceling altogether and not attending the show. It was around the time where the whole hotel issues were coming up, because I was like, you know what, like, this is too stressful. I'm trying to promote this show and do the best I can to get it to be a success. They're not really holding up their end of the deal. They're not really promoting me. They were promoting pretty much everyone else but me. And it was just frustrating. And I was like, you know, I lost my job. I don't even know if I can really afford this. So I was to a point where I was going to cancel, but my friend convinced me to stick it out, to, you know, just rise above basically. And, I was like, yeah, you're right. And at the same time, like, I didn't want to disappoint anyone, because at that point I had already, advertised the show, and I know that some of you guys that watched my videos were excited about my meet and greet and had basically like bought your tickets to attend my meet and greet. And I was like, I don't want to disappoint people. But actually, another thing that I forgot to mention was, I would say it was like around the beginning of May, that they also then told me that my Saturday meet and greet was canceled, and that I was only going to have a Friday meet and greet. And I was like, oh, okay, because I thought Saturday would be the better day out of the two for my meet and greet, but whatever. And then I was worried that they were going to try to like completely take away our hotel stay altogether, because now I was only having a meet and greet on the one day. But thankfully they didn't, so I will give them credit for that. But then all of a sudden, like a week before the show, I got an email from the show saying, we heard that you were planning to, or it's been brought to our attention that you were planning to have a get together in your hotel room on the Friday night and order pizza for everyone. And we just want to let you know that, since we're paying for that night, this is not permitted, because we don't want any damage done to the room and this and that. And I was so confused. Like, my face was like, huh? I'm having a get together and I'm ordering pizza for everyone? Where? Like, I couldn't understand where they heard this, because this was not happening at all. I was like, yeah, like I can't even afford to order pizza for like a large group of people. I was like, what? So I just told them, I don't know where you got this information, but it's incorrect. Like, we haven't even made plans for our Friday night yet. We don't even know what we're planning to do. So I was baffled by that. Then they also accused my friend of saying that she was going to buy pizza for all of the vendors. And they were like, food is not permitted on the showroom floor. And that's when they made a big announcement on their Facebook page saying that anyone who had booked rooms at the showroom discount is representing the show, and get-togethers in rooms are not permitted at all, and food is not permitted on the showroom floor at all. That even vendors couldn't have like a snack or something on hand at their booth. Like, it was water only. So everyone was kind of like, okay. So this is where I'm going to end part one, because that is like the lead up to the show basically. And so part two is where I'm going to get into the actual issues that happened at the show that affected everyone. So stay tuned, guys.